from what I understand or how I accepted
it's
they're all
Jeebus.
just kind of the same,
Just
but
three
not
of
the
them,
same.
homie.
You know what I mean?
It's like it's like solid liquid gas, you know.
Exactly.
No,
and it's exactly
it's exactly that.
It's exactly
It's
like
exactly
Yeah,
that.
I think
I'm on to something.
we Scientologists.
I'm on to something.
Should I start this episode with a freestyle?
I don't know, maybe.
Hey, yo,
Would you?
I do this for my homies up in heaven. We about to start this shit 167. That's all I got. That's all I got.
It's not bad.
I expected the beat to come in.
That would have been your job. You would have
No,
had to do
yeah, I
that.
would have. I'm not good at that.
I'm not starting it like
I
that.
can't beatbox. Can any of you guys beatbox?
I feel like I could.
I'm the only one who can. It's
not in
You
my
gotta do
particular
both.
skill set.
I have to beatbox and rap.
Yeah, I
do
don't see
it
a
both.
problem.
Yo, bro. It's the Joystick show. Yeah, see, it's not bad. It's hard, but
Get that in the stew.
yeah, you know. Welcome to the podcast. It's us. It's your boys. Full table. Feels good.
full table.
We got a lot of stuff to get into today, so let's just super fast. Like the show, subscribe to Team Joystick. It would help us a bit, and just sit back, relax, enjoy yourself.
Like it, comment some shit. We haven't done that in a bit, but we'll give you some to comment.
Grab
this
some
time.
popcorn.
Yeah.
It's a pretty decent, like
Whatever your
low
snack of
calorie,
choice is.
Yeah.
high volume food.
Nice
Yeah.
snack.
Definitely. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, we could literally spin this. I'd say we start with Joey. You weren't here last week. We missed you. We missed you a lot. It's hard
thanks.
without you.
Let's see.
We
What's
just
the-
sit around. We just sit around and wait. You know.
do?
We didn't even do the
Yeah,
podcast.
we didn't. If you didn't see, there was no 165 or
Oh, cool.
166.
It's just skipped.
Don't look for it. It's not there.
Okay.
Just take our word for it.
Let's see. What do I want to talk about this week? One thing I want to talk about is that Scott Pilgrim, the Netflix series, just dropped today. Was that on your list of things you wanted to talk about?
Was originally gonna be, but I didn't have the chance to finish episode 1, even though they released the whole thing. But I only got like 10 minutes in, and for what I like it a lot.
I haven't watched anything, but what I have been watching is just all the documentaries or like little explanation videos all these YouTubers are putting up that go in depth on what is Scott Pilgrim really about. And I've been having so much fun watching all of them.
You're going through like the psychological shit of this.
Yeah, I was like, I'm having so much fun watching them because I was a high schooler when the books came out and the movie, and I was just kind of like, yeah, relationships,
No,
video
we
games.
were way younger than that. We were like 12 years old when that shit came out.
Did it?
Yeah.
I remember like really enjoying it in high school. Maybe
That's when you got into it.
Well, that's the game, I think, right?
No.
The game came.
No,
did
you
it
know
came
what?
out
You're
the same
right.
time?
Because I was friends with EJ when the game came out on PS3.
Mm-hmm.
Me and EJ were playing Scott Pilgrim, so that was Matt. We were like really young.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the idea of the premise of the whole concept was really cool to me. But now that I'm older, like when you hit the age range of the characters that you're watching, you kind of see a different perspective of everything. And I've just been having fun, like as the years go by, just looking at it again and thinking differently how I thought when I was younger.
Yeah, I gotta go watch that. I forgot that came out.
Yeah. I might watch the movie first. Okay.
The movie and then
Yeah.
Nah, you should read the comics. You should read the comics.
I mean, I haven't read them since I was like 17.
Read the
so-
comic audiobook.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Miss all of the action and shit.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'll do.
Scott
They'll
punches
say
him.
kapow.
Scott
and bang.
Kapow is written in bright red, white, and green letters.
You just hear people ugh, dying.
So Scott Pilgrim.
No, that just it. Just watching all those videos and.
Oh
just
wow,
having
that was
fun with
brief.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
are you gonna tell us what's
All right,
what it's
bye guys.
Are you
Thank
gonna
you for watching.
Are you gonna tell us what it's about? Did you crack the code? Or is it about like teen angst or
Mostly, he says Scott Pilgrim is about loneliness and how people deal with it.
Okay.
And he says Scott starts the whole story feeling super lonely. That whole segment when he's walking, I'm so alone in the desert, and then he meets Ramona, and he says, and even though he dates Knives, he still felt lonely. Like Knives was easy for him because he was not doing anything compared to his other friends, and he just filled that loneliness with Knives. But when meeting Ramona, he really likes her, and then wants to be with her. But Ramona also is experiencing her own loneliness, as well as Kim, who's around people but is dealing with her own personal problems. Stefan dealing with his loneliness of going back with Julie.
So everybody's just lonely.
Everyone, he was like, but it was all about the progress of like escaping that being happy for yourself, that self-respect moment that Scott has. He says being happy with yourself, that you're okay to be alone with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yo, not for nothing. That's pretty relatable. That's exactly where I am in my life right now. I've been on this like self-care shit, and I've literally been in that stage where like I take myself out and do stuff because I'm like, I need to find out how to enjoy this at my own to be able to do this.
He makes a reference to that. He says because Kim does in the comics, not in the movie, does like a wilderness sabbatical, and Scott accompanies her on that, and she says I sometimes just do things on my own to figure that out. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool character.
Yeah,
that's a cool character.
Relatability.
Yeah, you really start to relate to the people that are now your age when you hit that age.
Yeah.
Can't wait till I'm like 40 and watch Grown Ups. I'm gonna think that's the best movie.
Yeah.
And we're like, I want the cabin house. I want the cabin.
When we're like 75 watching Golden Girls.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, Dylan, you're such a Blanche.
That's gonna be wild, bro.
What's the
AI Golden Girls?
What's that movie, The Bucket List, where they have like a small little
Morgan Freeman and and Jack Nicholson.
All right, none of us are dying, Joey.
It gets to that point.
Not that bad.
That's next episode.
Yo, speaking of dying, I had a birthday last weekend, and I'm getting closer to it, but it was pretty lit. I just wanted to say thank y'all. Thank you to Dylan and Jerry for being my real friends and coming to my birthday party and spending time with me.
I don't know.
Joey was just evangelizing the youth, no biggie, just fucking being a good person, arguably better than all
and
of
now
us.
we know at Christmas, it's not even going to be about presents because it's going to be God's birthday.
Yeah.
I
mean, you kind of take over 5 days before, and
Yeah.
it's Jesus' birthday.
Yeah.
Who's part God, from what I understand.
He's part God.
He's been infused with God.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
I'm like a non-practicing Catholic. That shit confuses me just the same, from what I understand or how I accepted it. They're all just kind of the same,
Just
but
three
not
of
the
them,
same.
homie.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like it's like solid liquid gas. You know.
Exactly.
No,
and it's exactly
it's exactly that.
It's exactly.
It's exactly
Yeah,
that.
I think.
I'm onto something.
We Scientologists.
I'm onto something. What's plasma? We gotta figure this out, guys. Dark matter, you know.
What is this section?
We gotta
Plasma's
adapt
Jeebus.
this shit.
What is this chapter called?
Anyway, back to my birthday. I just wanted to say thank y'all for coming. I know Joey couldn't make it, but I had a good time.
Semi-surprise.
No, yeah, that was kind of the funny thing about it. It was because like I was very aware that something was happening, and my parents knew that too, to the point where they told me, they were like, obviously we're doing something, but they were like, we need you to be out of the house for a while. Like I go downstairs and the entire first floor is super clean, and I'm like, okay, it was something.
Yeah.
My dad is cooking giant trays of rice. I'm like, okay, so my whole
That's
thing
not
was
a regular day for you.
Yeah, no.
Giant rice cooking.
My whole thing was I didn't know how many people were going to be there or who was going to be there. So that was the surprise of it all. So that was really nice for me to open the door and see everybody. But it was funny because even like the night before was when we did the podcast that week. And like I saw Dylan and Jerry and I was like, I'll see you tomorrow. I know I'm going to see you tomorrow. And
Yeah,
you're
I
both like,
remember, as I left, I was like, it's some intermittent time. I will see.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, sounds good. But it was a good time. And now me and Joey are the 27-year-olds on the channel.
Correct.
And we're waiting for you two to fucking catch up. Maybe that means you have to swap seats now. Finally. Craziness.
Wait, what?
This will be the 27 side. And then you and Jerry could be on the
I like that.
26
I like
side.
that.
Until Jerry turns 27.
The wise elders speak.
If we do that, that's gonna definitely be a weird.
How many episodes is that? That's that'd be like at least 5 episodes. Because then Jerry, you would turn 27.
Yeah.
And then that could be the 27 side.
Okay.
We just have to wait for you.
Yeah.
Or bring Jose on to replace me. We'll figure it out.
No, that sounds. I like that idea. Actually, that's a good idea.
And then speaking of my birthday, I mean, granted, it wasn't part of my birthday, but it felt like it.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed it. We did a little group activity earlier in the week. We went to the NBA in-season tournament game of the Nets versus the Magic.
Yeah,
that was sick.
That was fun.
Very, like, super random. I mean, like, I kind of do this thing where every now and then I'll go onto SeatGeek and just see what the tickets for that night's game or the next night's game are, because sometimes you'll get really good deals. And considering it was an in-season tournament game, I saw that they had seats together for, like, $15 a pop. So I told you guys, I was like, let's do it. And in a shocking like moment, everybody was like, yes, I'm down. And I was like, all right, I guess we're doing something together for once. and we went to go watch the Nets.
Yeah, and a pretty quick, like 4 or 5 hour excursion. It wasn't too, it was a good solid.
Basketball games are pretty. I mean, you also have to keep in mind the fact that we're so close to
the travel
Barclays.
time
The
isn't
travel's
crazy.
like that. Like we're to and from in 20 minutes, kind of.
Yeah, word.
And then not only that, I wanted to bring it to Joey because it was your first basketball game. So what was it like to go to a basketball game, Joey?
It was a lot of fun. I've been to like other sports related stadium games, and basketball was it was no different than like baseball. Like all the seatings and making sure everything was there. But yeah, I think I very much enjoyed it. I just like being with you guys.
If I could describe Joey at the Nets game, so this is how it was. It was 5 of us, the 4 of us plus my dad. And the way we sat was I was here, Dylan was to my left, my dad was next to Dylan, and then next to my dad was Joey and then Jerry.
Yeah.
So it was like we were split up from them, kind of, right?
Correct.
Anytime basketball was happening and I looked over that way, Joey was texting.
Yeah.
Like not all the time, but most of the time you were texting. Anytime like music was playing and people were like, throw your hands in the air, Joey was losing his fucking mind, bro.
Wasn't.
Yes, you were.
No,
you were
I
like,
wasn't.
bro, you were fucking twirling the towel, like,
Joey gave a good effort.
and then
I will
as,
say,
no, yeah, like for sure.
Yeah.
And then as soon as basketball came back on, he was like,
No, I was watching.
no, I know you were watching, but it was fucking hilarious.
I
to
get
me.
it. There's 20 seconds of dribbling. You can say a lot before.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
joke time for Dylan and I. That's where we just shit on Joe Ingles for a bit and then go back into the end of the game. But yeah, I had a great time. It was a fun experience. What did you think, Jerry? You had a
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about Barclays is like how like the seating is like so much more cramped. Than,
It
like,
definitely is.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, we got good seats.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, our seats are fine. Yeah.
How were your guys' overpriced meals? I've never gotten food at the Barclays. So
I mean, it
refuse
was
to.
like I don't know.
City Field is like such a high.
But that's
brow.
it's a different thing.
Barclay. I mean, even like the Islanders Stadium and MSG have better food. I think.
I believe it.
I
yeah.
feel like this is, you know how there's the saying lunch food? Oh, this tastes like lunch food. And you know exactly what that taste is? There's another one called like festive food, like at a stadium or a festival. Because I swear that like chicken, that recipe that I had is the same at the Javits Center for Comic-Con.
No,
and
it
it's
might
the
be.
same
They
as
might- they might just get it from the same
Shea Stadium.
distributor.
They literally probably just go to Restaurant Depot.
Yeah.
Get like
That's
the
what it
highest.
is.
And they get a high quality one, but it's still a fucking frozen chicken.
Yeah.
tender,
It's still
and
the
then
same.
They throw it in the
one.
fryer.
The
yeah.
only way you could technically change it is seasoning. it
Yeah,
or-
and then that's why it's always like, oh, we add a Korean sauce or something.
Yeah.
to
That's
it.
right, yeah. We
That's-
added something different than
Yeah.
the other
So it's
stadiums.
not just a tender.
The only thing that
Then
was
again,
weird
Sticky's
from
gonna
about
be
my food was when I was trying to get my food. Like I'm trying to get like I was getting like waffle fries and chicken, and for some reason this dude took like triple the time it takes to give somebody their food, and he's just like walking back and forth, and I'm like, bro, and I'm looking at the cashier next to me, and she's done like 5 people. I'm like, yo, and she's like, yeah.
She was on point, bro. You should have gone to her.
Yeah, she would have
That's
grabbed
funny.
it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Me and Jerry ended up being in the luxury area, and I did want to try to get the buffet food.
That's funny.
It was mad nice. I kind of want to
Yeah.
like wait for a game. I don't want the Nets to be bad, but maybe a time like that where it's like if it was like $80 and I could get the fucking buffet. I don't know, bro. I might
do it too.
I might do it.
We get to hang out in one of those little suite areas.
Yeah,
where-
you get a TV and you see the game. It's like, all right, I'll do it.
Bro, when we break 500 subs, we'll celebrate.
do
it.
that.
We'll do it.
Do it when it's cold.
Help us out, guys.
Maybe not when it's cold, so you don't have to do that walk.
Yeah, that walk is that walk is crazy. Literally like a wind tunnel. Fucking speaking of podcasts, and
Okay.
shows.
Okay.
I have a new favorite podcast.
You do. It is. I believe it is NPR, The Sounds of Spring.
How did you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. like a fresh Babic.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? Like
It's like
a water
it's,
thing, right?
It's like it's like nature sounds mixed with old woman. You know.
I don't know where you're going with this one
What-
now, but
What?
We're not talking about this.
No, we're not talking
Okay.
about this. I'm talking about the premiere of a brand new podcast by a comedy legend that means a lot to me. Arguably one of my biggest inspirations
Excuse me, Bobby.
in the realm of comedy. And what is
Bobby,
that, sir?
To us.
It's to me though.
It's
It's to me.
Bob.
I put you onto it.
Yeah,
first of all.
yeah, but a lot.
Not
of
only
people,
that,
it was pretty
First of all,
popular.
we're talking about Daniel Tosh.
He was pretty popular.
Not only did I put you onto Tosh.0, I watched Daniel Tosh is Completely Serious when I was 11 years old, and it was by far one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. That being said, when Tosh.0 came out and I saw the trailers for it, I was like, that's that guy. And he's watching YouTube videos? Incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, interestingly enough, like pretty much, interesting, like a funny tidbit. I remember I missed the first episode because I didn't know it was coming out on a Tuesday. I figured it would come out on like a Friday or something like that. So I remember watching the first episode of Tosh.0 on demand in my grandma Adela's living room. And it was the funniest thing. I was like fucking 12 years old, but it was incredible. That being said,
that visual.
Daniel Tosh has been out of the limelight for like 6 years, maybe more at this point. And he's actually been pretty openly anti-podcast and stuff like that. Not only not doing them, but also not appearing on any.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting is there's been like a really big resurgence, especially in like the last year, of not just people talking about him, like fans, but also like fellow comedians talking about how great Daniel Tosh is.
Yeah, and like also he toured a lot, so like he became friends with like every.
And I was gonna say, in the time that Daniel Tosh was out of the news and out of media, he was still touring, he was still doing stand up. So he hasn't stopped. He's just stopped doing it in the public. You know what I mean? Or not like that, but on media essentially. Okay. So he came back and now he's doing a podcast called Tosh Show. And right off the bat, what I think is really interesting about it is he doesn't interview celebrities or comedians. In fact, when iHeartRadio asked him to do a podcast, he straight up said that he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to interview people like that. He would only want to interview people that he found interesting. And he straight up told iHeartRadio, he's like, I'd only do it if you'd let me like interview my wife's gynecologist. And they said yes. And that's the first episode of the podcast, is he interviews his wife's gynecologist who delivered his first 2 children. Yeah. So kind of funny. But it's just really a cool experience because he's still very much himself. He hasn't, like, the comedy, the wit is still there. It's still super sharp. He works on it with the original co-creator and producer of Tosh.0. So there's a lot of old elements and old, like, humor that's still there. And then you add in the fact that not only is Daniel Tosh, like, now a family man who's, like, matured and aged a little bit, not to the point where it's that noticeable, now he's in an interview kind of position where it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you've seen Tosh.0, it's pure jokes, balls to the walls. But now when he sits down with somebody, it's like a new flavor of comedy where he just kind of riffs off what they're saying and just turns it into a joke. And it's really great to see. It kind of re-inspired me. I was like, I need to get back on this shit.
Also, like, I feel like Tosh.0 had elements of that interview style, but it was full 100 like comedy.
No, exactly. Like when they did the web redemption,
execution was still there.
I was about to say when the web redemptions were always interesting.
When they did that, like the first 2 minutes of the web redemption was always like a sit down interview like that, and then the last 2-3 minutes is always the most ridiculous shit, you know. But this is all just pretty much straight faced. And then last thing I wanted to say, just to like give you a bit of context to what the show's kind of like. One thing, and this is the first episode, so he's saying all the stuff he's going to be implementing into the show. One thing he said he wanted to start doing is every time he has a guest on, he wants to give them a gift. But he doesn't want to buy them anything. He just wants to give them something that's been in his house for a super long time and he doesn't want it anymore. So that's his version of a gift. So for the gynecologist, he explained that when he was removing the bandages for his wife's like C-section that she had, immediately Daniel Tosh's mother-in-law, his wife's mom, was like, oh my God, that scar's a lot larger than Scarlett's. And apparently Scarlett is like her son's wife. So Daniel Tosh's wife's sister-in-law, right? Okay. So when Daniel heard that, it just made him laugh. So for her first Mother's Day as a mom, he made her a custom mug that just said, in quote, wow, that scar's a lot bigger than Scarlett's. And then under it said women empowering women or something, or mothers empowering mothers or something like that. Right. So she thought it was funny, but apparently when the mom came to visit and saw the mug, she hated it and she like stole it or broke it or something. He doesn't know. But he was like, so she thinks I'm stupid. So I was lucky enough that I was able to snap a picture of the mug. So in typical Daniel Tosh fashion, he blew up the picture into a giant print and then hung the print, framed it above the guest bedroom. So every time his mother-in-law came to visit, she had to sleep under the fucking print of that. And that's the gift he gives to the gynecologist. He's like, it's been 4 years. I don't need it anymore. And he just gives him this giant print of a coffee mug.
That's such a troll.
And he's like, I don't know if you need it. And the gynecologist is like, I'll find a spot for it.
Yeah, I mean that is like also this is kind of a tangent, but that's kind of like the embodiment of like rich people problems.
Yeah,
It's like you're making a joke about a gynecologist thing or like a C-section thing, and then that ends up being a beef with your mother-in-law, which then you end up trolling. It's like that's like really
if you really
it's
think
fucking
about
convoluted, man.
if you really think about it, it's like 3 separate things paid into the mug that he had to pay for, the picture that he needed to pay for to put inside the mug. Like it was just layering on top of each other.
And then he gives it back to the guy that gave the C-section.
This is fucking high art. We just didn't know, bro.
And then like one last little interesting tidbit to throw in: the gynecologist is actually gay, and that adds a whole new dynamic to it. So it's so funny where he's like, "I don't mind, the vagina's cool." Like he's just like super casual about it. But it's actually a really good watch, and it's actually super informative. Like you learn a lot about med school and what it's like to graduate from that.
I figured he'd want to go into that direction too. Like, just all right, now, like actually for real, what is it that you do?
No, he does. Yeah, it's super. Like the best way I could describe it is like the majority of Tosh's questions are legitimate questions, but phrased in a way that are hilarious. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty interesting.
So
go watch the Tosh show.
It's what the people need, dude.
It's really good. If you like the Tosh.0, yeah,
because it's the second best podcast on the internet.
Correct.
I don't know what the hell about.
It's probably Ned's Declassified.
It isn't.
I don't want to get started on that.
It isn't. I feel like at some point they're gonna run out of content for a fucking 3-season show that they're gonna fucking make up shit.
Yo, speaking of
like,
that,
we had nuclear missiles on the fucking Ned's Declassified show.
Can I make a theory on the podcast so that if it happens
on their podcast?
No, not on their podcast. So that it's just like a general thing. If it happens, I could be like, I said it and I called it. My theory is that Josh Peck and Miranda Cosgrove are going to start a podcast. Similar in that light, probably for Drake and Josh. And I say that because apparently they're in cahoots with each other. Like apparently they're like working on a project that they haven't revealed yet. And obviously they can't do anything in like the Nickelodeon route. So what do? Make a podcast.
I can see it.
I can see it too.
So he's been on podcasts.
And then I can see all the comments being like, when's Drake coming? When's Drake? When are you inviting Drake?
When he's finished with his Latin music tour, dude.
Especially since iCarly got canceled, right?
Yeah.
And I think she's going to keep doing something.
Man, that shit pissed me off. I'm like, fucking, you can't end a show on a cliffhanger like that.
The show that ended on a cliffhanger that got rebought and then ended on a cliffhanger again.
No, it didn't end. The first one actually ended. Like the first iCarly. I'm not going on a tangent.
Bobby's getting like
it actually has an ending.
Oh, okay.
So when it got rebooted, it was just kind of like adding from where they left off. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the podcast
she moves to
I need to
Italy.
hear.
I'll watch it. Yeah, fuck yeah, I love that show. But I'd rather it's Drake and Josh.
I'd rather Drake and Josh. I find it so interesting that of all the shows that like you and Jerry are like, that's the show we understand. It's iCarly. Like I can't look at Jerry and be like, yeah, that's.
No, I don't really watch that show that much.
I
didn't watch the new.
iCarly was good, and I watched the new, and I was like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the new I didn't.
I think I've watched one episode.
We're already deep into the tangent, so let me explain something here, right? To give you perspective, Drake and Josh was great. We were very young when Drake and Josh came out.
Correct.
When iCarly came out, we were 11 to 12 years old.
Yes,
that sounds about right.
So. Me personally speaking, I probably ducked out of iCarly by the time I was about 14 to 15 years old, first to second years of high school.
Well, when I found out like the ending thing and like some of the stuff in like the final seasons, I was like, I did not see that shit,
No, and that's far from that. That was like when we were in high school, and I didn't watch that either. Like I hate to say it, I watched all this when I was like an adult, and it was like on Hulu. I was like, I'll rewatch all these series and binge watch them.
That show was long.
It was, yeah, but that's another point. It's 5 seasons long. But here's the interesting thing. You know how I said like in that 3rd, 4th years when we stopped watching iCarly, those first 2 seasons are enormously long. Like each season has like 30 episodes, and then seasons 3, 4, 5 have like 10 or 11 each.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at the episode lists for those first 2 seasons, it's like every single episode you remember from iCarly. And then those other 3 seasons are like the newer ones where they got older and started dating each other and stuff like that. So for what it's worth, all like the quote unquote like nostalgic episodes came from those first 2 seasons, which is when we were still young enough to watch it.
Okay.
So that's like another interesting thing. That's also why a lot of people forget a lot of shit from that show.
Mm-hmm. You're like, wait, this
it's
happened?
Almost like it's like a complete rebrand. It was like season 1 and 2, and then flip the show.
And then, no, you know what it was is it got enormously popular.
It got more popular. The audience is now 2 to 3 years older.
In seasons 3 to 5, there's like a ridiculous amount of huge celebrity cameos.
Yeah.
Sometimes for no reason. Have you seen the Emma Stone cameo? Emma Stone is in an episode of iCarly for like 5 seconds, and it's not even written into the script. She just like goes into a store, sees them, and like she's a super fan, so she's like freaks out. She's like, "Oh my god!" and then runs right out. And it was like, didn't have to be there, but they got Emma Stone. You know what I mean?
They have her. Now.
There's like a whole episode where they go to be on to the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Like that's a whole.
I remember
thing.
that. Yeah.
So like it just got enormously popular, and then no show ever got like that again on Nickelodeon. So.
Crazy.
But like I mentioned, I'd much rather hear a podcast on Drake and Josh.
Nah, you want to listen to a podcast about that mermaid show.
If I'm being real,
mermaid show.
I'd much rather hear a podcast on like what's going on with Dan Schneider. That's what I really want. That's what they should start a podcast about.
They all need to gang together to make the ultimate
Schneider
podcast.
I need that in my life.
Down.
You get like Amanda Bynes to head that shit.
Everyone just
Oh my
brings,
god, Amanda
everyone
Bynes.
just brings evidence. Kenan Thompson's like, he stepped on my toes. It's like, all right, yeah, you know.
Stepped on my toes.
it's like, you know, it's like
That's a pretty
these
good
other
Kenan
women-
Thompson though. That wasn't bad.
It's like these other women got grow up Kenan. It's not that bad. It really is.
On the top, have you seen the fucking trailer for Good Burger 2?
No, I have
It
not.
looks fucking awful.
No, I did not.
It looks so bad.
Why is there a Good Burger too?
Great question, Dylan. That is
I
such
feel
a
like
cool
there's other
idea.
things we could have made.
The whole like thing is like apparently Keenan like left and like did big things, and then Kel's character like stood in the Good Burger. So there's like this whole like
okay, so
friendship.
Kel's in it too.
Yeah, they're both in
Yeah,
it.
okay,
but
yeah.
the whole thing is like, you know, Kel's character, I forget what they're called, their names are, but Kel's character's still like, yeah, Good Burger, and Keenan's more like, come on, man, like we grew up and shit like that. But they have to tee it up one more time for some. I think the plot is there's like a company, like a rival company that's doing like corporate shit, and they have to try to make Good Burger like
Isn't
a
that the
giant.
whole plot of the first?
I don't know, man, because that movie came out when we were like 3, dude, and that guy is fucking way too famous now. I don't get it. That guy Kenan Thompson. You would have told me that guy Kenan Thompson when I was 27 would still be this famous. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. But
That
he is.
guy?
He is. That's like the shit we were talking about Mad TV recently. Like everybody from Mad TV is giant, and we don't talk about it ever.
Mm-hmm.
We got Key and Peele, fucking Bobby Lee, Alex Borstein, aka Lois from Family Guy.
You're still doing that.
Ike Barinholtz does movies.
Yeah, I mean, when Ike Barinholtz was like, what was he in? Like Suicide Squad, I think, or something like that?
Yeah.
He was in like a big time movie, and I'm like, Ike!
He was
you
in the
don't-
Suicide Squad. He was a lead in Cockblockers.
Yeah, I was like,
which was a good movie.
You don't belong here, Ike.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't.
Oh,
And then shout outs to his brother who plays Marcus on Superstore,
Yeah,
the janitor.
they look so similar.
Not the janitor, the warehouse guy, but regardless. That was a fun TV show tangent. Didn't expect to go on that.
Yeah.
Let me refer back to the ye old list.
The old list.
Can I talk about something that Jerry knows a little bit about?
What?
Jerry doesn't know.
What is it?
A little aquatic animal themed game I've been obsessed
Oh
with
shit!
for a while. Shout outs to Ak-xolotl. To be more clear, it's I'll put the text on screen. It's Ak-xolotl, so like axolotl, but the Ak is important because it's AK.
Yeah.
oh shit!
If you've played Enter the Gungeon, it's very similar. It's practically a reskin,
You
even though
shoot
it's
and shit.
not made by the same people. It's just heavily inspired by it. You
Boom,
play as a
boom.
cute little axolotl who just shoots other animals with a gun, and it's really fun. I can't explain it. You get items and you unlock weapons. It's a roguelike, which is enough for me. That's all I need to hear. But it's weird because I saw Ray from Achievement Hunter play it like a week ago or 2 weeks ago when it first came out, and immediately told myself I was playing Spider-Man at the time, so I was like, as soon as I'm done with Spider-Man, I'm getting this.
That's the game.
And it was like $19. So as soon as I was done, I was like, fuck it, it's Axolotl
Nice.
time. Finally beat it for the first time yesterday because it's a pretty difficult game. But I'm happy to report that almost done with it, almost platinumed it, and you should definitely play it because it's a fun one.
Yeah.
That was good.
And I also
Actually-
want to say fuck Jerry for unlocking the strongest weapon like right off the start. And literally the game has 5 biomes with 5 bosses, and Jerry actually got to the 4th boss on like his 3rd run. I was like, you fucking piece of shit.
That's wild.
You know what you need to do? Actually, if you're gonna finish Axolotl so soon, you need to play Hades because Hades it reminds me of this game a lot.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean,
Yeah.
that game got Game of the Year like what 3 years ago. It's
Yeah.
probably about time I play it. So
It's literally like this game is like
There's just too many roguelikes. There's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
many.
where
Can I ask a question about Hades? Is Hades is it melee combat?
Some of the weapons are.
Okay.
It's a mixture.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
We'll get on it.
okay.
Need something new to
I don't
play.
know.
get
I
there.
feel like there's so many games that like have potential to be good and fall short. So it's just cool when like everything comes together. Because sometimes it's like a really good roguelike, but it's kind of gimmicky, and it's like only you play a few runs and then you're like, yeah, whatever. Like Tower of Guns, you were like, oh, this is good, and then you just don't play it ever again.
I mean, what was fun about
Yeah,
that was the
that
first
game was
person
good.
element. Like
Yeah.
that was super cool, but it
Mhm.
does get boring. And I'll admit
That is it. They have Immortal Redneck is another one. It's the same thing. It's literally that. It's like first person roguelike. There's 3 different things. It's pretty
and
cool,
I'll
but it's
admit,
it's not the
Ak-xolotl
same.
gets a little taxing. Like I feel like I can only do 3 or 4 runs before I'm like, all right, I'll play it again later. I'll play it again tomorrow. But for those 3 or 4 runs, it's a fun one. It's a fun
Yeah.
time.
I mean, the same thing is like a battle royale almost like.
Yeah, like any game, you know. You can only
Yeah,
play it
I
for
don't
so
know. You
long.
can't if it's
Unless
like
you're a streamer, then you gotta learn to love that shit for 12
You're gonna
hours
play
a
that
day.
shit for 9 hours. You're Dylan trying to platinum Rogue Legacy.
Which one? 1 or 2?
1.
Okay. I did that shit real fast. I don't know what took you so long, pal.
Well, I just came back to it years later.
No, maybe I'm just a better gamer than you. That's what I'm getting down to.
Squilliam.
Maybe I'm just better at not talking to women than you. You know what I'm saying?
You're a gaming aficionado.
Kaboom.
Yeah. I try not to tell people too much about it.
Yeah, you're
That's my deep dark secret. Nobody needs to know how many platinums I have. It's almost 120, by the way.
yeah.
Jeez.
Right? Didn't we just do that?
I mean, I have like half of that, but a lot of mine is like, heavy fire, shattered spear, games
Yeah.
like just random ass games. Mr. Masashi, all time classic.
Fucking,
Musashi.
These last 2 things I wanted to talk about, I feel like could oddly just be thrown together, and you'll see where I'm going in a second.
I feel like they're not.
I showed Dylan a video beforehand. Again, referencing something I referenced last week to something that Dylan showed us. Dylan showed us this cool video, music that defined the 2000s.
Oh yeah,
Watch
Mike the
this.
Snare, great
pretty
job.
That was cool.
But that got me into this whole rabbit hole of kind of watching other music video essays and stuff like that.
Music. I've been on a kick. Same here.
Yeah.
Where the last 2 weeks I've been watching music documentaries,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, I'm loving that shit.
And that guy Mike the Snare has a really cool series, Discog, Deep Dive.
Oh, yeah,
Discog,
yeah,
where he just kind of picks an artist or a band and goes through all of their discography, all of their albums, just to And what's cool about him is he's not super biased. He just kind of chronicles them all in terms of what were the better songs, what were the not better songs, and how it changed their progression.
Yeah,
throughout
which is all the best bands. It's
Yeah.
that's what makes a good band. I feel.
So I
Is,
watched
someone that goes through.
I
all
watched
the-
his one for Arctic Monkeys. I watched one for Paramore. I saw one for Ariana Grande. And then I weirdly wanted to see one for Panic, even though he didn't have one. So I found another video that it was actually pretty well done. I mean, it wasn't as good as Mike's video, but it talked about basically the rise and fall of Panic at the Disco, from as they were rising, getting really good, and then what happened to start setting them on the downward trajectory to the point where they're not a band anymore. And they talk about the whole thing about how pretty much everybody left, and for the last 2 albums it was just Brendan Urie.
Yeah, it was him. So
But by the time I ended the video, I was just left with this question. I was like, what the fuck is Brendan Urie up to? So I was I looked up on Wikipedia, not really expecting to find anything, only to find that apparently I guess he's taken a step out of the limelight to be a father and stuff, but now he's the drummer for a band. And it's really weird. Not in a bad way either. The music is actually pretty good. It's technically an artist. His name is Mike Viola, and he has a band that is part of what Brendan drums for. But what's also pretty funny is Mike Viola's the old touring guitarist for Panic at the Disco. So it's they switched places, and now Brendan plays for him. But it's really cool. It's a dope vibe.
Sweet.
It's old school rock. It's kind of sick. Reminds me a little bit of Billy Joel-esque, but not as rockabilly. Is that the word?
he doesn't storytell. Is that what you're getting
He
at?
does do that.
Okay.
That's what I kind of see, but it's not as pop. It's
okay.
something like that. I don't know.
That's a guitar.
That's how I could.
That
Yeah,
is a
you know what
guitar.
I mean?
That's a guitar.
And then to work that into the second thing I wanted to talk
I
about.
don't know how this will relate.
This one is weird, right?
Okay.
I don't even know how I came about this. I just got really curious this morning about Dolly Parton. I was I need to learn everything about Dolly Parton. Learn some great shit about Dolly Parton. But what I was most interested to learn about her was who she's married to.
Okay.
Real quick, how many people do you think Dolly Parton has been married to?
I know it's
like 5.
it's a lot of famous
No
people
idea.
get married a lot, so I'm gonna say like 6.
Mm-hmm. What are you?
4.
Dolly Parton has been married 1 time.
Oh, okay.
She's been married to the same person for over 50, 60 years, something like that.
Okay.
And practically nobody knows about this guy. In fact, he's made it a point to just be like Dolly Parton's secret husband. And I just find it hilarious to me.
That is so strange.
Forgot his name. It's something real, like his like Carl Dean or something like that.
But he's not an artist.
Nope.
He's not a musician.
Nope.
He's not anything.
Apparently,
like that.
Dolly Parton has
He has no fame.
Apparently, Dolly Parton has even joked around saying that he's seen her perform live once. Like that's how
Wow.
much it is. He apparently is just like some normal ass guy. And interestingly enough, her legal name is Dolly Parton Dean, but she obviously famously goes by Dolly Parton still. But people ask her, they're like, "Are you guys still in love?" She's like, "Yeah, he's like the greatest. He's just really quiet and romantic." And I was like, I just find that such a vibe, low-key. Like she's low-key probably like one of the most famous people in all of country music, and she's able to keep such a low-profile relationship. Like this bitch has an amusement park.
I was just about to get to that because I went to this amusement park. My aunt just moved to Tennessee, and when we went to the amusement park, it was like, I think there's an episode where we talked about this mad long ago, but it's like Disney World, but like about a specific person, and it was kind of wild. Like
Dave Land.
Yeah,
it's like the
it's
guitars
Dave
everywhere.
Land.
There's people performing her songs.
Like I
You're
was looking up,
damn.
like I remember reading a fact. There was a statue of her as a little girl, and it had a really interesting fact that both my mother and I were like, "Whoa!" And she shared that with us at a park. Like that's crazy. I tried looking for it, but instead found this crazy fact that Dollywood recreated her childhood home. She recreated her childhood home, and it's on the park, just like in the middle.
That's
And
like the Magic Kingdom castle.
Basically.
Dollywood's house.
Crazy.
It's a fucking 2-bedroom
And
house.
for what it's worth, I love Dolly Parton. Like
It's
I
fucking
really like
funny.
unironically her music slaps.
I need Joey to be the on-field fun fact reporter.
Yeah.
But wait, what was the child one? You just don't know?
I don't know, and I can't find it in time.
You gotta
to bring
find the
this up.
statue. I'm going on Google Street View trying to find that fucking statue.
One last thing.
Oh,
Read this today. I feel like it'll tickle your fancy. It's kind of funny, and it's also about country music.
okay.
Wow.
You heard about a little country music star named Garth Brooks?
I fucking love
Garth.
I heard him.
I don't know if you guys know Garth Brooks, but he has a confirmed 20 bodies. He is a all-time murderer.
Garth?
According to Tom Segura.
But actually, Garth Brooks is honestly speaking, like king of country.
No, like
Yeah.
Garth Brooks is literally the king of country music. He's the most successful country music artist of all time.
He's one of the most highest-selling artists
arguably,
of all time.
arguably the highest selling American musician of all time.
Correct.
Have you heard what he's done in recency?
No.
He's made some very interesting music moves.
Okay.
Garth-
Stranger than
Then
Sting,
Andre 3000's flute.
or Sting. And,
Is it?
It's a lot stranger.
Wow.
Not in terms of the music, in terms of the distribution. Garth Brooks has made an album. Apparently, it's like one in a series of 3 or 4. The album is not on streaming services. You can't find it online. The lyrics are not on any popular lyrics site.
Why?
And it's because you can only buy it as a physical DVD at the Bass Pro Fishing shops. It's the only place you can buy this new Garth Brooks CD.
That is insane.
The CD has not been torrented once. And I think it's because nobody who listens to Garth Brooks would know how to fucking torrent a CD. So I just find that to be the funniest thing, that there is a legitimate like album out there by one of the biggest country music stars, and you can't find it. You can't find it.
You can't find it on YouTube?
I mean, I haven't tried, but apparently it's like that was his whole goal the whole time.
Can we
to
film a video where we go to Memphis, Tennessee? We go to the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid, and we buy the Garth Brooks DVD.
I think we just found a reason to go visit Tennessee. So.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that'd be my first time in a Bass Pro Fishing shop.
Yeah.
And I'd be in the one, you know what I
and then
mean?
we watch the Grizzlies
What?
lose.
Yeah. I'm down.
And then we go to Dolly World or whatever.
Get the hat, get the shirt,
see that
whatever.
weird guy that was serving me drinks at that one bar. Throw a picture of him up right now.
Yo, can we?
Is that the old guy?
Yeah.
I had that picture.
Number one Fan of Joystick right here.
Yeah.
Show 'em, yeah.
Number 2, bro.
Yeah,
Can't forget Kim, bro.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
watching.
good old Kimmy.
All right. It's time for Jam, Yam, Bams, the Ams.
Do I have one?
Do you?
No, you
Do
don't.
I have one?
Great question.
Do I have one?
I got one. So,
Joey first. Nice.
yeah, word. One of my students' parents came to pick up their kid during dismissal, and she noticed my shirt, and she was like, "I like the shirt, Mr. Joey." And it was like one of the very, very few times I've been complimented on my attire. And she was like, "I like the shirt." I was like, "Oh, thank you." And she was like, "That's a dope band. That's a dope band." It was cool. So I spent the rest of my time, like before leaving, going back to my house, listening to Deftones. I chose this song. Yeah, I chose the song "Be Quiet and Drive" (far away).
Classic. That song is so good.
Nice.
Who wanna go next?
I'm gonna pick a throwback Kendrick Lamar song. I'm gonna go with "Blow My High" off of the Section 80 album.
Nice.
There's a bunch of bangers on there.
We're gonna get a little interactive for mine. You ready, Jared?
Oh,
you
shit.
Ready, Dale?
Okay.
I'm torn between 2. It could
Okay.
legitimately be either. Okay.
I like that.
So do I pick the one that's a rap song, or do I pick the one that's just a really weird instrumental song? It's up to you. It's up to you. I really don't mind.
Ooh, I feel like we go rap, right?
I would say rap.
We're going rap?
Yeah, we're going rap.
All right.
Rick rap.
My jam
or
of the week
Ding a
is going to
Ding
be
a Ding.
Piano Love by Conway the Machine. Go check it out. Fire, boom, bap, beat. And just a quick little shout out to Love Theme by Shinichi Tanabe.
Let's go.
Don't really know where it's from. Probably a movie or an anime, a cartoon, show, something of that nature. But it's a fucking beautiful instrumental piece.
Anime.
And I've been jamming to it. Might be next week's jam. We'll see.
Is it?
No.
Okay. My jam of the week is Heart to Heart by Capstan and Belmont. Classic pop punk. Just good shit. Yeah.
It's someone in Belmont.
Catchy. Yeah.
Belmont's pretty good.
He's on the second verse, the singer and the guitarist.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Welp, we did it, boys.
We did.
We made it all the way to the end of the Joystick Show. Thanks for watching episode 167.
I don't like. Actually, I want to be wrong. I don't like this voice.
You don't like this voice?
don't like it at all.
What's the problem for you, sonny boy? Is
Oh,
it too
yeah.
high for
I
you?
guess-
Is it the weird southern drawl that I'm
You sound
putting
like
on
a
it?
woman, and that disturbs
It's like
me.
it's like
Ooh,
a
I
Dolly
sound like
Parton
a
being
woman
possessed.
to you. I sound like possessed Dolly Parton now is what I sound like.
You
It's a
have
skinwalker
You have like a
part.
Golden Girls drawl. You don't have like a Southern drawl.
Fuck, you know what I just realized?
What?
I forgot to do the thing at the start of the episode where I'm like, this is what we're talking about. This is what we talked about in the last 40 minutes, and it's gone. It's not there anymore.
Snip that. Put that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Point it.
And
Prove it.
and we'll catch you all next. Why did it get
That's-
British?